Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Vinyl Stallions!
What up, everybody? It's Club. Welcome to this episode of Vinyl Stallions, a podcast about all things music. Find us on social at Vinyl Stallions. Today, we have an incredible guest. We have Derrick McKenzie. Derrick is the drummer for the UK-based acid jazz band Jamiroquai. He is also an extremely talented DJ. He's been playing a run of shows with the Jamiroquai keyboard player Matt Johnson as well. So we catch him at an interesting time. He's got a couple more shows with Matt coming up, and then a handful of dates with Jamiroquai a little bit later on in the year. But Derrick was awesome to talk to. We're really proud of this episode and hope you enjoy. All right, well, Derrick McKenzie, welcome to Vinyl Stallions. How are you living today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Vinyl Stallions. It's a real pleasure to be here, and an honor. Really, I was actually quite surprised to get your message to do this. So I'm like, oh my gosh! And I saw that you did an interview with Tony Monreal.
Yeah,
we just spoke with Tony.
Cool. Yeah. I was with him on Wednesday actually.
okay.
To do a gig, like a charity gig, believe it or not, for Amp Fiddler, because apparently he's not very young, because he's from Detroit, right? I think he's from Detroit. Amp Fiddler, keyboard player, old funk guy, does all the P-funk stuff.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. We're hanging with Tony. Yeah, no, he was an absolute pleasure to talk with, and it's crazy. How close the scene that is there over in the UK. So, have you known Tony for a while?
Yeah, I've known Tony for a while, but we've never actually worked together. So we've always met up at gigs because he does Incognito, and then like Jamiroquai and Incognito are on the same gig. But we've never actually worked together. So when I saw him last Wednesday, we were actually talking about doing something together, whether it be a record or a gig or whatever. It'd be a real pleasure because I'm a big fan, basically. I'm a big fan of Tony. Have been for a while.
Yeah, you guys would make some great music. Your drumming, his singing,
yeah,
that'd be really cool.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's great. From way back. I've been listening to his tracks. His songs that he's been doing, all the dance track, the jazz stuff, his own stuff. And he is one of the more well-known soul jazz funk singers, so to speak, in the UK, but where his voice just gets to everyone. When people hear him sing, they just go, we love this guy. It doesn't matter what kind of music you like. When you hear his voice, you love his voice. You love love it he sings, man. So big respect to him. You know what I mean? He's definitely not a one-trick pony. Let's put it that way.
Hell no.
Yeah.
No, man of many talents indeed.
Yeah.
No, it was a pleasure to talk to him and kind of dive into his history. But
Cool.
yeah, Derrick. I mean, let's start with you. So it's funny because over here in the U.S., I mean, we hear of Jamiroquai and kind of the music and just the essence of acid, jazz, funk, everything that it brings. And,
Right.
I know you. So, what was your first album with the band?
My first album was Return of the Space Cowboy. That was my first album.
And so, and for those who don't know, that's their second album. So you've been with Jamiroquai ever since. Can you just break it down for us? Like, how did that opportunity present itself? And were you friends with JK? Or just break it down for our listeners?
Okay, so no, I didn't even really know of the band because I was playing with a hip hop band who were also signed to acid jazz called Urban Species. So they were like a hip hop band, gigging with them, touring them, and then I trust that when you're going to learn and stuff like that. And in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, I kind of hear what these guys are trying to do, but it's nearly there, but not quite right. Do you know what I mean? But I was into the music. I was into the music and everything. And then as it goes, after being with them for like a couple of years, I went to a barbecue. And at the barbecue, I met a guy, an engineer, producer called Simon Law, who did the Soul to Soul stuff back in the 90s. He did a lot of production and programming for them back in the day. Yeah. And I gave my number to Simon. And Simon said, yeah, if I've got any work to do, I'll basically give you a call. Okay, fine, cool. You don't really expect to hear much. Lo and behold, literally like a week later, the phone goes and it's EMI, the publishers, and it's the head of A&R who's then said to me, "This is band called Jamiroquai, and they're looking for a new drummer." And so I would like, okay, and I'd never heard of the band. I'd never heard of them, didn't know anything about them, nothing. I knew nothing. I saw the symbol when I was driving past, but there was no, because when they brought out the first album, it was just a sign, it was just a symbol. There's no name, nothing, it was just a symbol, right? So driving up and down the road and passing this symbol all the time, and so I said, yeah, okay, cool, I'll have a go. Why not? Got nothing to lose. Anyway, I went to the audition. So I had to go and audition. And my first audition with them, which was with Toby, God rest his soul, because he's now passed. It was with Toby and Stuart and Wallace. And we did like I think I jammed with them for about 2 hours or something like that. You know what I mean? Just jamming out, just playing music and just playing away, which was great. It was really good fun. And then literally towards the end, I saw this guy standing at the back and with another guy, a taller guy, and didn't know who it was, didn't really care, wasn't really bothered. Do you know what I mean? Just played. I was just enjoying the music. And literally towards the end, he comes forward and he goes, "Hi, I'm Jay." I'm like, "Hello, mate. Nice to meet you." Still not knowing who he was. I didn't know. I'm like, because I don't know what they look like. Nothing, And then, and then of course we start playing one of the tracks because I've learned some of the tracks. And then he started singing, and then I recognized the voice, and I went, "Oh, you're the guy that sings all the songs." I went, "Okay, so you're the guy. Oh, you're JK. Oh, okay, cool." And we just kind of like just got on really well from there. And then I got called for a second audition, as well, so between me and another guy, and fortunately, I got the job. So, and that was back in 1994. Yeah.
So almost 30 years later, still going.
Right, yeah. Still rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, it's like, that's absolutely crazy to be able to get that opportunity. And then again, as Klopp just said, the longevity of it all.
Yeah.
What's the process like, I guess, and now as you've continued throughout the albums of like actually writing the music? Does it all come from Jay and then he says, "All right, boys, let's see where you can fill in," or how does that process work?
Well, right up until say the last album, it was basically everyone in the studio, and we just jam out grooves, jam out chords, jam out beats, just play and just see what happens. But whilst we're doing that, a lot of it is led. It's all led by Jay, basically. "Oh yeah, that sounds cool. Let's use that." Or "That sounds cool. That doesn't sound so good," or whatever. But we're all kind of putting into the pot, so to speak. And everything's done from scratch. So whatever you hear on the album, it's not like an idea that I wrote 2 months before or anything like that apart from one track, right? But it's all done like on the spot during that writing period, basically.
Very cool.
Yeah. And that's how that's how the majority of the albums have come together. The last album was done with Matt, the keyboard player now, Matt Johnson and Jay, where they just sat down in a room and just basically bashed out chords and melodies, basically. And then we would get called in to play our parts, basically. That was the last album which Matt produced. And Jay wrote the lyrics and melodies and stuff, and they just did it all, and we just came in and just played our parts, did our additional bits, basically. But the majority of it is done with the band all the time. It's done with the band together, and from what I believe, the next album will most probably be going back to the old school, where we're all back in the studio again as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are due. The last one was what, 2017?
2017, yeah. That was the last album. Yeah, that was the last album. Automaton. And it wasn't strange doing the album in that way. It was just different, and it was my first experience of being called in to play on something that was more or less already written, but they would have like a verse or chorus, and then I would play my beats across whatever they had. Basically, there might be a drum machine beat done, and then I would play live drums over whatever that was there, and then Matt would then put together like a hybrid of my drums. You know what I mean? So a bit electronic, bit of live, all mixed together, which he's actually got very good at, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, that album came out great, and yeah, I agree. It's definitely the most electronic of all the Jamiroquai albums.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to go back to do it. We're going to go back to the whole kind of the live thing, really, because that's where our strong points are. Do you know what I mean? We're a live band, essentially. We are a live band. So I'm just telling you.
Absolutely.
We are a live band, and we want to be a live band. That's our thing. On stage when we play, we use electronics samples. So I'd use electronic samples, so to speak, just to give it a modern sound, essentially. But what you hear is all acoustic, essentially. And we would run some loops, but only a couple. You could hardly hear it when we play live, because it's 90% live, 10% electronic, basically. That's the majority, and it's deliberately like that because we don't want to be controlled by computers, when we're playing live. Otherwise, if the computer goes down, whether you've got one running in tandem or not, if that goes down and you've got 90% all electronics running off your computer, you're going to sound like a rubbish.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's interesting. You said, you're a live band, as you just said. And to be able to transfer over what we are hearing from these records is insane to think about, because there's so much going on and all these just different ways and different avenues. So yeah, what is like playing live? What is your, favorite part about the whole touring, the whole live aspect of it? Because like you said, you've been doing it for years, and not many people even get a chance to go on the road once. What is some stuff you look forward to? And I guess the other side of the table is, what are some stuff you're like, oh shit, we got to do this again?
Right. To be honest with you, as a band, we love to tour. We love to tour. We love to tour, as you said. We're a live band, but we also like to. The best part of touring is actually playing the gig and how can I say, pushing the boundaries of what you can do with the tracks that that we have and the tracks that we play without it being too much music for the punter. Do you know what I mean? You know, because you can get up your own backside with it and just go way out, and then it's too much music for the punter, and they're just like, it's great, but we actually want to hear the song. Do you know what I mean? You know, that kind of thing. So
do you guys improv jam is what you're saying? Like
yeah,
on a lot of songs? Okay.
Yeah. So what? Yeah, exactly. So even though we have the electronics are a not program, but they're operated in a way where one section could just go on and on and on. Just go on and on and on and on and on. And then if Jay says, right, change to the chorus or whatever, or back to the intro, we can do that. That's not a problem, you know. So it's because we use Ableton Live. So we're just touching. Well, I'm not doing it. We have someone that operates that. And that's Howard, and Howard, you know, punches in the loops in and out at the right places where they need to, you know, come and go as we're jamming across or improvising, you know, certain sections. You know, once you get into the vibe, and that's one of the best parts of of touring, is that when we get to a certain part, we could just play that section for as long as we want and go up and down with it dynamically as well, you know, and Jay can still sing across it and do his thing across the whole musical kind of journey, so to speak, and be free to do it as well, you know, and still be able to say to us, like he'd be able to say to me to maybe drop down to just the kick drum or just hi-hats or whatever, and it doesn't make any difference to the actual arrangement. It will just keep going, and that's what makes it really, really interesting, you know. And you kind of push the boundaries a bit, but there's still a limit to where you can go without getting too amusing.
I love it. That's a good way to put it. But hey, we are jam band fanatics, so
yeah, favorite things about live performance.
So please don't stop. Just keep on going.
No. We're definitely not going to do that. That's for sure. Admittedly, one of my favorite parts of the actual gig is we come out. We're doing, I think it's level, and Matt was a solo, was a piano solo, but he gets right into it. You know what I mean? You know, he gets right into it. Even Jay gets into it, you know, and he just does his thing. And when he goes, he just goes, and we just kind of just roll with it. But he's so good at what he does. You know what I mean? He sends us and like the whole audience into a complete like mad frenzy. Do you know what I mean? But still, we're all holding it together. It's like just and it's such good fun. It's just such good fun. You know, it's great. We love it. We love those kinds of things. Solos, you know, Rob's doing solo or whatever. I don't really solo. I'm just about just keeping the groove, you know, holding it down. If there's space for me to do something, I'll do it. But otherwise, I just hold it down. What about me?
You're the meat. You're the meat and potatoes of the meal. You got
it. The meat and the meat. Yeah. Just keep the engine keeps ticking. You know.
And the bass player in Jamiroquai, Paul Turner.
Yeah.
Have you been playing? Has he been the bassist for a while?
Well, now, I was talking to Matt about this just the other day. We're now like he's like 15 or 16 years in now.
Okay.
So he's the newest member, so to speak. He's like the newest.
That's something I was thinking about. Like you as the drummer, like obviously you have to have a good musical relationship with the bass player. Like what's that been like with him? And then I guess earlier on playing with different bassists.
Yeah, it's you know, Paul is an extremely experienced bass player, without a doubt, you know. And one thing with Paul, when he comes onto any gig, he does his homework. With no doubt about it. He does his homework. So when you hear him play any song for the first time, it's like the record. It's literally like the record. And then he will start to bring his own vibe into it, which is what he's done across the years with the whole with Jamiroquai, the album, the albums rather, and also the gigs. You know, he's just brought his own style into it, and he has a great sound as well. You know, without that, there's a great sound. He's an extremely competent player. You know, he's very, very good, and I work really well with him. Even when we do sessions outside of Jamiroquai, we work really well together. We both know exactly how each other plays, and we're about holding down the groove and playing to the best of our ability, having that great relationship without stepping on each other's toes, so to speak. It's really good fun. It's good fun to be cool. It's really good.
No, no, that is so important. You just got it in my mind now. We were talking to Tony about being like hired as a session musician. So are you involved in like any other projects? Are you ever hired as a session musician as well? And involved in that aspect?
Gosh, yeah, I am. Believe it or not, yeah, I am hired as a session musician. I drum on people's records, not necessarily famous people, but people that want the style that I'm recognized for. Let's put it that way. They hire for that. So I just did a session for a DJ out of New York called John Morales, and he wanted me to play live drums on a track, which is a cover version of he's redoing of a track called I Want You All Tonight. It's called. It was released back in like I want to say late 80s, early 90s. And Curtis Hairston, amazing singer, great lyricist. And John just wanted to just do a cover of this track, to which I just played live. On my Instagram, you can see me playing to it. I actually posted something this morning on it. As it goes, so you could see it on there.
Hell yeah! And so I was just gonna say, is do you know much going into those sessions? I guess I don't know. Tony was explaining how like sometimes as a session musician, you really don't know what you're getting into until you show up, for multiple reasons. But how is it as a drummer?
Yeah, same. The same. I normally, because if it's a UK person, I normally, in fact, if it's anyone, I always say to them, send me an MP3 of the track. One with drums, one without drums, basically. And if I'm doing a session where the artist is not there, like John, for instance, like John Morales, I could say, look, send me a version of the song with a loop in, so I can just groove to that loop. A loop which basically sets up the groove of the track that they're using as like an inspiration from a rhythmic point of view. So that would leave like maybe the congas in or something, or a cowbell, anything like that, which can help me to groove, as well as just the metronome or the cowbell that they're using to keep the metronome. I always would like something else. So I go in there and then I'd listen to the lyrics, the vocals, the bass and whatever's going on, and then just work my way through the track. A lot of the time, because they've sent me something prior, it's easier for me to deal with. But if I don't have it and they just send it like on the day, then that takes me a little bit longer, because you need to get used to the track. You need to work out where certain things are, the arrangement of the track, and then just grooving with the track and trying to play it the best way that you can. There are tracks where I've done the session and sent the files away and then had to listen to the track again and then just gone, yeah, do you know what? That's really not good enough. So then I go back to the artist and I say, can I do it again? Um, to which they say, fine. They said, well, to us, it sounds fine. And I go, well, I don't think so. I think I could play it better, you know. And so that's what I do. I just go back to the studio and then just replay it. And I actually replay it better because now I know the track and what's going on. I can just work out things in my head, drum fills, the groove, sit on the groove a lot better. Um, even, you know, tune up the drums better, you know, anything, any kind of situation like that, you know, I can rectify all those situations when I go back again, and just to give the the artist or the client, the producer, whoever, um, uh, yeah,
Derek, you still with us?
yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah, it cut out for a sec.
Oh, did it? What was it? What was the last bit? Let me check my internet might be rubbish. Uh, yeah, my internet actually. Internet's not the best in the world.
No,
What was the last thing you heard?
you're all good. We honestly heard everything about the breakdown of what you do with the studio
Yeah.
and how you can go back in and change it all up. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure we heard everything, and that's like very interesting.
Okay.
And also as like a person who is hiring you as a studio musician, and you say, "Hey, I want to go back in," like, why the hell wouldn't they say no? That other one is never going bad. Like, it'll always be there, and you can always, like you said, improve it from where it's at. So, no, that's very interesting. I
Yeah.
appreciate you diving into that.
Yeah, no worries. Plus they'll have two takes or three. Oh, by the end of it, they'll have like 5 takes of the same track. You know,
Yep. Choose your favorite one. Boom.
yeah, use whichever one you want. It's fine. Chop it, put it back together, do whatever.
Absolutely. No, that's interesting.
You had mentioned too, so the last session you did was for a DJ.
Uh-huh.
We also noticed you've been doing some DJ sets yourself. How
Right.
how's that going, and what is that like versus, you know, playing the drums live? Those are two totally different things, I imagine.
Um, Being a drummer, for me, they kind of work in parallel with one another, with the whole rhythmic thing, beat matching, because of the type of music that I play. Because I play like disco, new disco, house, like melodic house, so house music with songs. And then I play a bit of tech house, deep soulful house, you know, that kind of stuff. Soulful house I play as well. So, you know, they work in parallel. They work parallel to each other, I think. I The good thing about being a DJ is that I get to listen to a lot of music. Um, Work out what's good, what's going on within the music, the genre of music that I like to play. Of course, you know, what's current, what's not so current, what's great, what's not so great, you know, that kind of. But just to me, not to other people, just for me. But I really enjoy. I must admit, I do enjoy DJing. I do enjoy it. I really enjoy it. Yes, it's different to drumming. Um, but it's great to see people dancing to and enjoying that new disco style of music. You know, it's great to see them really just really getting down to it. Um, I do a radio show as well, which I do every 2 weeks, and then goes out across different stations globally. And what I play again is what I play is disco, new disco, a bit of house, a bit of soulful house, a bit of broken beat stuff. Just whatever takes my fancy, really. You know, what I started doing also recently, pads when I DJ.
Okay.
And stuff on it, you know. So when I've got it spread across like 3 kits, and on the pad, so I can switch between kits, and I can just play congas, timbales, different cymbals, sin drums, electronic drums, you know what I mean? Just to make it different. Plus, it gives the people um, some things to look at. Not me just DJing, but me DJing and drumming like at the same time. So it makes it quite entertaining. Did a gig on New Year's Eve, where I played something that I don't play very often, which is like tech house. Do you know what I mean? I really quite hard house stuff, like kind of 126, 127 BPM, which is quite fast for me. But it was actually really enjoyable. I really, really enjoyed it. I played for 2 hours. The first hour I just played like what was current and played, my timbales and bits and bobs, in the breakdowns and stuff. And then in the second hour, I played more of the house hits, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? That people know, just to kind of raise up the vibe a bit, and it worked really well. But it's great to play the pads because it really worked. It really, really worked. The people really enjoyed it. I think at first they thought, "Oh, what's he doing? That's really strange. What's he doing that?" Because everyone else just DJs. I just like in the breakdowns, I'll be doing like these mad timbali solos, but it worked, and people got with it, after a few minutes, they got with it. So it was great. Yeah, I love to do it. It's great. I love DJing.
No, it's big. I mean, when I go see DJs, I love is Grizz, who plays the saxophone while DJing, and
right,
like seeing that takes it, in my opinion, to a whole nother level to be able to witness something, be creative live,
yeah.
while other stuff's going on. And yeah, I couldn't imagine, man. With technology in the past handful of years, with how many different noises you can make, how you can have everything at a touch of a button and be able to, like you said, go from
exactly.
Like that's great. So
Exactly.
how long have you been DJing for, though? Like, when did you get into it, and what kind of sparked your interest?
So I've been into DJing from when I was a kid, to be honest. I've been into it from when I was at school. I've been into DJ. And my friends, they had like what we called a sound system back then. Do you know what I mean? So there was all these different sound systems, they had all different names. And then I'd go to like the different functions and listen to them play. And it wasn't until I was maybe 17 or something like that, I decided to like kind of, what's the word? Put my foot step into the water of DJing world, which was unsuccessful. I can admittedly say unsuccessful. And then rock on. Fast forward, years on. Back in 2016, no, back in 2015, 2016, I started DJing again, basically. But what I did, I just had like a little small controller, like a Numark Pro controller, and my computer, and I'd go into these clubs and just play. You know what I mean? Just play my music, house, whatever, soulful house, whatever. And then just kind of slowly worked my way up, learned how to work the CDJs, joined a crew called iCulture, who are based here in the UK, and I played with them quite a lot, actually. And they are the guys that have been my big support for DJing, getting into that whole DJ scene, meeting people, teaching me how to DJ and learning how to use all the equipment and everything, and I give big props to Steve and Richard from iCulture for helping me to develop my skills, so to speak. I'm not as good as them, but I do my best, considering I'm a musician first and foremost. Then I'll put myself maybe a DJ, maybe DJ.
Oh, no quotes necessary. Being honest, Derek.
But yeah, I've been DJing properly since about 2016, I'd say. 2016.
I mean, so I've unfortunately never been across the pond to Europe, and have never had a chance to experience just anything. But what everyone keeps talking about is how prominent the EDM scene and just the DJ scene is over there. What can you, I guess, describe in just the local scene and changing?
I think the local scene here, it depends on where you are, what
Yeah.
country you're in, you know. So you come to the UK, you get house, the most dominant, predominant scene is the house scene, without a doubt. You know, it's the house music. Tech house, not so much, right? But you'd have drum and bass, house music's good, but you know, closely, and actually what's doing really well at the minute is that disco scene, that new disco scene. Yeah, it's doing very well here, because there's quite a few DJs who are coming from abroad and coming here and playing that old school disco music, and you know, filling up venues with it. You know, filling up venues with it. You know, so, and we're very, very lucky to have that. You know what I mean? There's no like competition as such, but we just know everything has its section. So if you're into house music, you can find a house gig to go to without a doubt. And then if you say, all right, okay, now I'm going to go and listen to, I think I'm going to go and listen to, I don't know, let's say Dave Lee, Joey Negro, do you know what I mean? And that crew, you can then just go literally just down the road and then go and listen to disco and new disco with Dave Lee, which is just, you know, amazing, and still have a good vibe, you know.
Awesome. What are some must-hit venues then in that area?
Must-hit venues? Oh my gosh, wow. There's quite a few. I would say if you went to, it's not even about venues, it's about areas.
Okay.
So if you go to Shoreditch, which is like East London, bordering on the city of London, there's a lot of venues around there that do a lot of different gigs, basically different bars. In the West End, there's a few, but not so much. It's more the Shoreditch area. There's a few in South London, but you kind of go to where everyone congregates. Everyone, as in from all over London, will congregate towards Shoreditch area, maybe Covent Garden, Leicester Square area, maybe, you know, and just go to what, and it's not just so much about clubs now, it's more about bars. Yep. Bars are the places that are doing it now. It's more about the bars, you know. And that kind of underground scene. I went to a place called recently in East London, not too far from the city, it's called the Oval. And it seems to be like a relatively new place, but it's an underground venue which has lots of underground artists, but they have some really great DJs and some great talent playing there like every other week. I went to see my friend Melva Baptiste play there with his crew called Remedy, and he just goes there and he just kind of, how can I put it? It's like a presentation of his new acts, of his new releases, and he DJs and some other people DJ as well. And it was a really good night. But it's places like this that exist more in London now, together with the bars. There's a place called the Prince of Wales in Brixton, which is South London, and things happen there. It's like a three-story pub, and then right on the roof, they've got a big vent. They've got a nice space. Sorry?
I was just saying that's a cool setup for a fucking bar. Like,
oh right, yeah. Yeah. It's like
awesome.
So there's got three, and then, you know, in Camden, of course, you've got Jazz Cafe, which is a great club and also a great venue. There's the Forge, which is just literally just around the corner. You've got Coco, which is just down the road. These are just in Camden. So there's so many different places that you can go to get different styles of music, you know, and not just house and disco and whatever, just alternative, indie music, rock music. You know, it's picking up in London, considering the pandemic shut the whole lot down. You know, it's all seemed to have picked up again, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, hopefully it picks up enough where you can travel over to the US and we can see you here. Because
Yeah. Well, I was over last year playing. I did a DJ gig with Miguel Miggs. Don't know if you know Miguel Miggs.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I did a gig with Miguel Miggs and his Get Salted label through Frankie Boise and Julius Papp with Lisa Shaw on vocals as well. So I came and played, I did a DJ set for him at one of his do's, as we say, one of his parties, which was amazing. And the good thing about it is that it was daytime. We love a daytime party. So it was like 2 till 10. So it was great. Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah. But, you know, there's different people playing, you know, the whole time. So, you know, it makes it really cool and the vibe is great and everything. So, you know, I really enjoyed that. You know, I've done about 3 parties now with the Get Salted crew, and I hope to do more. In fact, I've got a message from Miguel just last week asking me if I was coming back. So, you know, I'd like to go back again and do another session with those guys because they're great. And also to DJ at, do you know a guy called Jay Criv? Jason Criv. He's based out in New York. He used to be with Tortured Soul. He used to be the bass player with Tortured Soul.
Okay. Yeah, no,
but now he does his own thing now. So he's got his own label and you know, and he's producing, remixing, doing all sorts of things, great stuff. And now he's got his own record shop where he gets DJs in to come and DJ live, and he streams it. He streams it, you know, and it seems to be taking off. So he's asked me to come over and do something at his store. So I look forward to doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And hopefully come to where you guys are as well, and come and DJ where you are.
Oh, yes, we are arms open, welcome you here, and yeah, that'll be incredible. We'll stay in touch, and we'll definitely be looking at your schedule because it's gonna happen there. We're meeting in person at some point.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely hit you up when I'm coming over. You know, without a doubt, I'll hit you guys up. You know, be good fun.
Yeah, we'd love to experience that.
Definitely. So we asked Tony or a couple of weeks ago when we had him on to pick his favorite child, and I'm gonna ask you the same thing. And
his favorite child.
Well, in a sense of what is in your mind one of your favorite either Jamiroquai albums or songs that stand out to you and are some of your favorite?
Okay, so I suppose I'd say the obvious, Cosmic Girl.
Okay, that's a great tune.
Right. And then I like Soul Education, which is a really good track, which is off the Dynamite album. And I also like gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. There's so many tracks, and I'm just like thinking, what's the name of it again? Spend a Lifetime is another track that I really like. I didn't actually play on it. Do you know? I think I did like a couple of little bits of drums, but it's just the string arrangements and the vocals are just like, you know, amazing. You know what I mean? You know, it's kind of like, love that track.
No,
love that track. That's the last track off of Traveling Without Moving, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Club and I go back and forth on just which albums we like the most, and Emergency and then Traveling are my top 2 for sure.
Right.
I always go back to Traveling as like right up there with it. What do you say?
The one that I love that I feel like a lot of Jamiroquai fans aren't as high on is Rock Dust Light Star. Like,
wow. Okay.
There's just so many good ones like Hey Floyd.
Yeah. That's us kind of delving into the how can I call it? Like the kind of, oh, like the kind of 70s kind of pop era of Jamiroquai. Do you know what I mean?
Blue Skies, that definitely fits that
Blue
description.
Yeah, it's a good album. It's a good album. It was good fun to record as well. And yet another album where we actually were all in the room recording all at once. You know, together with Traveling Without Moving as well. With Traveling Without Moving, that was all done. All of us just recording together. All those grooves, all of us just just playing together. Apart from one track, which was Use the Force, which is just me and Shola jamming for about 6 minutes on percussion and drums, and just playing for like 6 minutes.
Yeah.
6 minutes, just play, and then all the music was put on afterwards when we weren't there. It was all put on afterwards. Yeah.
That's true. Now that I think about it, that song, it's all like big drums, and then there's like a few horns, and then Jay going, "Use the force."
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just all drums.
That's gonna be in my head all day now. I haven't thought about that song in a minute. Use the ball.
Yeah.
That's great. No, yeah, I mean, it's the catalog is endless, man. I am really excited to hear these new tunes, and if you say there's something new on the way, then we'll be listening attentively, because
yes,
we need it.
Yeah. Keep your ears peeled. Keep your eyes open.
Well, we will. Derrick, we always end our shows with one question. We call it the encore, and we like to phrase it simply with this one question: what is your most memorable concert experience? And obviously, there's going to be a bunch of them. So if there's multiple, feel free to say it. And this can go in a way of memorable, like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening in a good way, or to the opposite spectrum of what the hell did I just witness? And it could be you on stage, you as a fan. But yeah, if anything comes to mind, feel free to share.
I think there's two. There's two, right? So the first one was when we did a gig in Brazil, in Rock in Rio, and we're playing the gig, and then we finished the song, and the audience was still singing the song for about another 5 minutes afterwards. They were still singing the song, and it was like 250,000 people singing this song. Wow. And it was nuts, absolutely nuts. It was nuts. We couldn't believe it. We were like, what? Even Jay was like just shocked. Oh my gosh, this is just nuts. It's just nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the other experience was when we played at the O2 in England, in the UK, and we started the track, and everybody was just kind of like listening, doing and getting into the songs and everything like that. And then we started one track, which was Cosmic Girl, and literally the whole place just lifted. It was just like such a mad experience where everyone just got up, and it's so weird to see 22,500 people just get up and dance to this track.
Man. Hey, music can move people. Seriously. It's nuts.
Those are my two biggest experiences. Also because my mum and dad were there as well, so they witnessed it as well. So
that's awesome. Yeah, and that's honestly not the first most memorable concert experience from a Brazilian crowd. So
no.
We've had a couple of people share about it, honestly. So
yeah, they are nuts. Brazilians, Mexicans, Argentinians. Not necessarily in that order, but the vibe is still it's very electric.
Bringing that heat.
Okay.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. Absolutely no worries. Love it. Love that.
Well, shit. Colette, we got anything else for man Derrick?
Yeah, no. You've been super generous with your time, Derrick, and
No worries, man.
we'll be keeping an eye out, see if you make it over to the States anytime soon, and we'll try to link up.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you guys are based, where are you based? Detroit. Did you say Detroit?
It's like Midwest area, so I'm in Cleveland. He's closer to Detroit, but
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
hey, that's the beauty of living in kind of the middle of the U.S. So we can go west, south, or east. It don't
Yeah, yeah. You could go wherever.
We can even go up to Canada if you're headed there.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, Canada
man.
is like not even 2 hours away from me.
True.
Oh, wow. Okay. As in, do you go through the center of Canada, or do you go? Are you more Vancouver or Toronto?
It's like
Toronto.
More Toronto, right? Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, more Toronto side of it, but yeah, no. So no matter where you come, if it's on the side of the rock, we'll be there. So we'll stay in
Cool,
touch.
man.
But again, appreciate your time. It was a pleasure talking to you. And
thank you. And thank you so much for having me. Really, thank you so much for asking me. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for, just for your supporting of the band and supporting of myself. It's a real pleasure to be on your podcast. I don't get to do them very often, so I was really honored when you asked. Like,
yeah, that's our pleasure.
That's great, man. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it very, very much. Great stuff.
All right. Well, again, Derrick McKenzie, everybody. But besides that, I'm Spruce.
Clap.
Another episode of Final
Stallions.